Alright, so in this video I want to go over these following topics, all surrounding living in Amsterdam. So at first I want to say a couple of things about the general living in Amsterdam, then I want to roughly describe the areas of Amsterdam. I want to mention that I have only been living here for 4 months, but this is like the impression I got, the impression I got during my research and stuff. So I'm not an expert, but this is, my basis of knowledge. Then I want to describe our search for an apartment in Amsterdam. Then I will want to describe our current situation. In the end, I want to quickly give you an insight on our expenses of living here in Amsterdam. Let's start with the general living in Amsterdam. This is Amsterdam. We are in the Netherlands, in the heart of Europe, let's put it like this. Amsterdam is one of the biggest cities, and it is beautifully connected to all kinds of European and also Dutch cities. The train network generally in the Netherlands is amazing. All public transport systems in the Netherlands is amazing. And also, of course, cycling is amazing. I want to quickly highlight this by going into, let's go back to the map, but let's also turn on the cycling lanes, and you can see there are a lot of cycling lanes, and cycling is amazingly safe in Amsterdam. It's the fastest way of getting around aside of the public transport. So you really do not need to spend a lot of money on transportation here, because either you have a bike or you have a pretty cheap public transportation service. So that's a huge plus of Amsterdam and the Netherlands in general. So let's go back to transit here, go to the map. What is also very interesting is that we have these beautiful metro lines, and we have a lot of tram lines here all over the place, going to Eiburg, going to Amsterdam North. We have the metro station, and bus service is also running throughout the whole area of Amsterdam and also the surrounding areas. So public transport is also really, really great. Amsterdam is a very international city. So many people speak English. So many immigrants are here. So many Dutch people can speak amazing English. It's pretty impressive. So if you come here, you do not necessarily have to learn Dutch. That's also a great thing. It's a very open city. You're gonna meet so many people that are not originally Dutch, and you will be able to communicate with everybody. Okay, the general areas of Amsterdam. As I said, I'm no expert. I have only been living here for 4 months, but this is the impression that I have. I specifically know this central area, of course, because this is where a lot of shops are located. I know a bit about the west area. I have not been too much to the south area. I know quite a bit about the Amsterdam Zuidoost and Diemen area, about this area, and I've been a bit to the north area. So what I have to say is that I am a big fan of Amsterdam Zuidoost. It's a great area to live in. I feel like with news articles you can get the impression that it's a bad area, but that is not the case at all. In my experience, it's a very safe area. I've lived really in the very south, in this area, for a month. People say it's a bad area. I feel like that's not the case whatsoever. It's a great area. You're very well connected with the green and the yellow metro lines, and it's a very residential area. I will try to put in some video clips throughout the video that I've captured myself. Amazing cycling paths, normal great infrastructure. You have shopping areas, always only 5 to 10 minutes away. And I felt like it's a very safe area in my experience. Currently now I live here around the Bijlmer Centrum, and I also really like this area, a lot of nature. Not super densely populated, but the apartments generally are in bigger blocks, but the blocks are about as nice as blocks can be. So I really like this area. There are also a lot of residential places where you can live in houses, and the more fancy areas where single families live. So I really like this area. You can get into the center with the metro in 10 minutes max. Going by bike, maybe it takes people who like to cycle rather quickly 20 to 23 minutes to really into the center. People who like to go a bit more relaxed, 25 to 30 minutes. And it's a very nice bicycle ride. So in my experience, this kind of area, Diemen, Zuidoost, Bijlmer area, beautiful areas to live in. Consider checking them out. Amsterdam South is, in my experience and what I feel like, my observations, a bit more of a fancy area. More like families live there, where people are working. More money is going here, but hopefully you can also find a place there if you don't have that much money. Very nice area. You got more tram lines running through here. A lot of shops. It's pretty nice. It's really nice. And if we go more over here to the Pipe, this is close to apparently the Sahati Park. I didn't even know that. This is the area that is generally known for the yuppies, young urban professionals. People are like the original Amsterdam people are not super happy about them being here, but it's a yuppie area. There are a lot of like very fancy shops, exotic shops, a lot of coffee shops. It's a pretty expensive place. The apartment you will find here is most likely going to be rather small, but it's quite pretty, I have to admit. I would have also liked to live here because it's a very, very nice place. You got the metro lines even going through, but also a lot of tram lines, which you can't see right now. Amsterdam West, I also quite like this area. Also more tram lines running through this to connect it, but here we also have the red and the green line running through. Generally public transport, beautiful thing all throughout Amsterdam. You really don't have to worry. It's great everywhere, basically. Also very old buildings, but nice, very pretty. It's more like the traditional Amsterdam that you know. This general area, it's very nice. It's very nice, and I feel like you can also really live in these areas because of the great metro connection. Also, cycling, it's not going to take you a long time. Maybe like 15-20 minutes, and you're in the center. Generally, a rule that I learned here is that most things are only half an hour away in Amsterdam. It's amazing. It's a much smaller city than you may expect. It's pretty fucking great. To Amsterdam North, I feel like in this area, closer to the river, you have a lot of also more affordable options. And over here, in this kind of area, there are also like really nice areas, more expensive areas, and you have a good connection with the metro, although it's not the best. If you want to cycle, there are ferries that are free that cross the Eye, so free ferries is really great. They think they run every 5 to 7 minutes, so the chances are high that you're going to catch one, and it's a great way to get into the city center very quickly. If you don't want to depend on the ferries, you're going to have a tough time with your bike. But metro and ferries is a great option. You don't have to worry about not being able to get into the center. One thing I also want to quickly point out that the parks are really, really great. Vondel Park, beautiful park. I think one of the most beautiful park I've ever seen. It's really big, great relaxation place. Emgan Park, not as pretty as Vondel Park, but still a great big park. You can take nice walks there and let loose. Oosterpark, a super, super pretty park. A bit smaller, but really pretty with great, restaurants and all that kind of stuff around. It's really nice. Generally, Amsterdam does not have too much green area in general in the city center, but the parks, they are pristine. They are really great. And if you go like more to the more suburban kind of places, it's not like suburban in an American sense, but it's a very Dutch place in a very Dutch sense. I will include some videos so that you can get an idea. Big Nelson Mandela Park, and generally these areas that are grey here, they're very green. There's a lot of vegetation, and it's very green, very open. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful in my experience. Diemen, this is where more new and more fancy developments are being made currently. We can take a look here. I think you can get an idea. These buildings have been built very recently, and I think the apartments are also a bit more expensive, but it's a very nice area. Nevertheless, generally all the city development is very mindful. Everything is pretty fucking great here. The Balma area, more buildings from like the 50s, 60s, but they can be in good shape, and still it's also a really good area to live in. Alright, I've been rambling a bit, but this is generally a spontaneous video. Okay, now I'm going to talk about our search for an apartment in Amsterdam. You can learn from our mistakes, hopefully, and see just what we've done and what worked for us. So generally we decided that we want to live in Amsterdam in June of 2021. We started, browsing through these pages, through Pararius and Funda mostly, and try to get a picture of the general situation of what is available. And we really started preparing stuff by mid-June, beginning of July. In retrospect, that was a bit late because we were trying to move by early September until late September, so we started about 3 months earlier. And so what we did, we prepared like texts, because on these pages here, Pararius and Funda, you can send texts mostly to the landlords or to realtors, and then they will, see whether you can get a viewing or not. We were living in Germany by that time, and we were not in Amsterdam, so we always had to ask for virtual viewings. And it was a difficult time. So at first we only tried sending them messages. We made a short message where we said, we come from, this is our financial situation. We are very tightly organized. No smoking, and you only have like 140 characters to type a message, or so 240. So it's very limited. Try to get to the point. And in the beginning, we only sent the messages. Didn't have a lot of luck. We barely got any replies. Then what I started doing then was I, sent the message, and then I called a number if there was one available. Sometimes, let's see whether there's one here. Sometimes there's a number available too. Okay, in this case, I don't think there is one. I tried to call them, tried to get in touch, and hopefully was hoping that would raise our chances. I did that quite a couple of times. We tried to keep track of everything very nicely. In the end, we over the course of a month, we wrote to about 40 different apartments, which might not be that much actually. I think in the end we got quite lucky. We did not have too much luck with the virtual viewings. I think in the end we had about 3 to 4 virtual viewings. One was a live video call. 2 times we got a video of the place, that's about it. So we did not have too much luck. A lot of times also the conversations, they broke off right in the middle because, they just immediately found somebody. And generally, I would recommend to check Pararius and Funda every day because the turnover time for apartments in Amsterdam is very quick. Apartments get listed and put down within a few days. Because so many applications came in. That was our situation back in summer of 2021. So the situation might be different now, but I hope this can still help you. What ended up happening was that one realtor, they told, we're interested in you. Can you please send us an introduction letter of you two? And that's what we did. We had that prepared already. It was about 1 page with a picture of us and, more detailed description of what we're looking to do, our ambitions, our situation, small, broken down of who we are, and focus on what is going to be important to the landlord. So we're obviously going to focus on the positive aspects of our personalities when it comes to living in an apartment. And we were very lucky because the landlords, they, liked us. I think generally landlords, they like immigrants, expats who are well financially backed, who may already have a job. In our case, we were financially backed generally, so the job part was we didn't have a job when we applied for this, but we were financially backed, so that was a big plus point. And they liked us. I had a call with the landlord. Landlord liked us, and then we started getting into all the contract stuff. And luckily, that was about in the beginning of September. So 10th of September. That's when we finally got lucky after many failed attempts. So that's about the time frame you're probably looking at. We really started, putting out those applications beginning of August, late July. And throughout the month, we had video calls, and we really tried it hard. And beginning of September, we finally got lucky. And that was our search. We finally found an apartment, as I said, near the Weimar area. And without gas, electricity, and everything, it costs us 1,400 euros. And now I'm going to dive into our expenses of living. We are going to look at it on a monthly basis, of course. So our base rent for an apartment of about 55 square meters, Balma area, two-room apartment in the 4th floor. As I said, pretty nice area. 1,400 euros a month. This is not a cheap price. It's also not the worst price, to be fair, but it's, of course, in comparison to other cities, it's not very cheap. Gas and electricity, we got a pretty good contract, I would guess, on a monthly basis, 100 to 120 euros. For this, I have to say that we are we're a very low energy household. We really try to keep our energy consumption down. So yours might be higher. Our temperature for heating is 20 degrees Celsius, so we don't like it super warm, and we turn it down during the night, and when we go away we're just mindful of this, and that's how we get a bill of around 100, 120 euros in the fall and winter months, so November, December and January. In the summer it should be less, and the main cost here comes from gas. I think we didn't pay any money for electricity, or barely any money, and only for gas. That's at least what our energy provider says. So it's gas is expensive, and we are mindful, and 100 to 120 euros. Water costs around 12 euros a month. That's a pretty fair deal. I got a good deal with Uphone, I believe, for an average of around 30 euros. I mean, it's cheaper in the beginning, getting a bit more expensive later. I think the average would be 30 euros a month. I also have a phone line included, but there I pay per minute, so I just have it for like emergencies and stuff like this. The waste tax per month for a household of 2 would be 35 euros, or around 35 euros. So for that you can use all the public like waste bins. It's a pretty neat system, I feel like. Public transit, 25 euros. So I have an OV chip cards. That's the beautiful transit card system that works all throughout the Netherlands. And I have a Flex GVB, so that's the provider for the Amsterdam area. I have a GVB Flex, so I think I get about 20% discount on all my GVB transits, like metro, tram, buses. Almost everything in Amsterdam is GVB, and I pay about 25 euros a month with the subscription and all my trips. I have to say I mostly use my bike. I probably go use public transport 2 to 3 times a week, so back and forth, and you have to pay by kilometer. You can look at that all up on GVB, on their website. It's a pretty transparent system. I pay around 25 euros a month for my public transit. My bike expenses are pretty low, of course, only maintenance and stuff. Groceries generally can be pretty cheap in my experience. I come from Germany, which may be the cheapest place for groceries, and I feel like it is not much more expensive here. We like to go to Lidl, which is a German discounter, for our basics, and if we want some more fancy stuff, we go to Albert Heijn. Albert Heijn is it's a relatively fancy grocery store. I don't know, maybe comparable to Trader Joe's in the US, or Rewe in Germany. So it's a pretty fancy store. Everything is beautifully stocked, everything nice and fresh. There you do pay a considerable amount more. Lidl is very, very cheap, and I think Jumbo is also a great place to go. It's about the middle between Lidl and Albert Heijn. They have a great selection. They have some great brands of their own, like Jumbo, their own brands. I think it's all pretty affordable, so that's very nice. Culture in comparison, in France, for example, in Paris, museums are free for students and people below 27 or something like this. Here, culture is relatively expensive, in my personal opinion. Like museums, you do pay a good amount for the entry fee and all that stuff. So it's not cheap, but you can, every once in a while you can maybe afford that. And just want to give you an idea about that. And that's, I think, all I have to say. I'm sorry that this was also a bit of rambling. This was a rather spontaneous video, and I hope this can help you. I try to give all the information that I would have liked before I started my search, and just to try to get a realistic picture. I will hopefully include a good amount of footage throughout this video, so that you have a good impression of everything, and hope this information helped you. Alright, last advice. move to Amsterdam. It's amazing here. It's your life quality here is just fucking great. It's the best step I think I made. Yeah, I fell in love with the city within a few days, and I'm sure you will too. Yeah, life here is a blessing. Come here. Yeah, that's all I have to say.